Good afternoon, Chief Meteorologist Melissa Frey here at Alaska's News Source with the updates on this major storm that is hitting the western side of the state. We've been tracking this all week. First, it was the wind and rain that we were seeing coming in yesterday, and now we're starting to see the impacts from flooding, which again, we are just at the beginning of this flood event, which will likely continue through the day, through the night, and into much of tomorrow as well. Again, we have not seen our highest water levels just yet for many western Alaska communities, and that is still coming. So again, we are monitoring this situation. We do still have flood warnings in effect here for the entire western side of the state, in addition to high wind warnings. So we are looking again at those winds pushing literally the surface of the ocean, which is going to bring us again just storm surge flooding as we head across again the next 24 hours or so. So now is the time. Again, if you haven't done so already, we are getting down to the final time before this high water is inundating these communities. Again, you need to be preparing, and for some communities even need to be evacuating. Again, we reported just about an hour and a half ago that Kotzebue has issued mandatory evacuations. I'm going to pull up this for you. Sorry, I thought you had the weather map here, but we're going to get that up there for you. There it is. So you can see again those flood warnings that are in effect all the way down the western side of the state, where we are seeing again that high potential for flooding and high water pushing inland. So I just want to show you quickly how this works. Again, literally the surface of the ocean is pushed by the wind inland, and the wind direction really matters. So right now we're seeing those winds coming in here out of the southwest, and so places like Elam, Koyuk, even pushing into Unalakleet, you can see that wind is pushing almost directly onshore, even more so as you head into Nome. And then further north of here, again where we do have those mandatory evacuations in effect for Kotzebue, you can see how the surface of the water there is being pushed to the northeast right into Kotzebue because again of just how strong these winds are. Now, if you've never been to Kotzebue, this is what it looks like on a good day when we're not seeing flooding. And you can see the entire community there is surrounded by water. That's the airstrip that you see there. Again, that has water on both sides. That is normally the case. So there's not a lot of margin. There's not a lot of room for additional water to come in. But again, we are beginning to see water pushing into those lower streets. And that's why the city has issued mandatory evacuations. Now, they do say if you feel that you are in a safe place and you are confident that where you are is going to be safe and you have all the resources and food to get through the night and through the day tomorrow, that you can shelter in place. So they did issue the mandatory evacuations out of an abundance of caution. They do say that the fire department is available to help and respond as needed. They do have people that can help folks evacuated, perhaps the senior citizens or folks that are disabled, need some additional assistance. They do have help available. So call the local dispatch there in Kotzebue if you need that. Otherwise, if you need a safe place to go, the school gymnasium is open and they want to get ahead of this storm. Again, the flooding has already started, but we haven't seen the worst of it yet. That is still coming. This is a look at the flood gauge that is sitting there in Kotzebue Sound, and this hasn't updated since 1 p.m., but you can see it has been steadily climbing all night long, all morning long, and now pushing into that moderate flood stage, likely and expected to get up to that major flood stage here before the end of the day and heading into tomorrow. So again, this is a serious situation because flooding can become very dangerous very quickly. So again, the city of Kotzebue went into mandatory evacuations because of that water rising so quickly. And again, we're just at the beginning end of this. We are also starting to get storm reports coming in from places like Chivak, where boats have been lost in Chivak, being reported there from the State Emergency Operations Center, which is monitoring this, and also again seeing some impacts in Scammon Bay as well. So again, we do have this coastal flood warning in effect from the northern Arctic coast all the way south into the YK Delta region. as we're going to see a high water pushing into this area. Now we are getting in some video from Kotzebue and from surrounding communities, and so I want to pull that up for you so you can see what it has looked like out there today. This is video sent in by viewers showing the impacts there. Water starting to rise in the area. Again, those lower roads are being reported as already having high water in the area. We do have some local buildings that look to be surrounded by water as well. So again, this is a community that is always surrounded by water. What you're looking at there is the airstrip, which normally does have water on both sides of it, but right now you can see there's just not much margin left, not much height left before we see even the air runway there in Kotzebue underwater. It looks pretty quiet out there this morning, not seeing much activity. There are a lot of closures. School, of course, is closed. A lot of government offices are closed because of this storm. To allow people the time and space to get to a safe area. Viewer Abraham zooming in for us so you can see those local residences and businesses that are right along the water. Look like they do have water getting pretty close at this point. Again, we have seen this water rising through the night, but there is still much more to come. We don't expect to reach the highest water levels until later on today, which will continue to stay high into Thursday morning. So once it reaches again that moderate flood stage and local officials start to see that water pushing in, they issue those mandatory evacuations so people do have time to get to a safe place before that water does move further into the community. So again, if you're just joining us, this is the view from Kotzebue where we are getting this. And actually, I just want to pull this up real quick. We just got an update from USGS monitoring. Again, Kotzebue Sound, zooming in here, 4.53 feet. So that has risen almost half of a foot since 1 o'clock. So just in the last hour and a half or so, we have seen that rise again now to 4.53 feet. So we still have not, I'll try and zoom in on this. There is a way, if I use my mouse correctly, we'll zoom in here so you can see from NOAA, again, the tidal gauge there showing how much this has risen from 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It reached a minor flood stage at 1 o'clock this morning, and then has just been rising steadily since. So that is why you do want to, again, make sure that you are in a safe place. And we're just continuing to look at the video coming in today. Now, you notice there's not a lot of rain coming down. That has ended. So that portion of the storm has moved on. The storm is not over, and this is not a new storm. It's just a new part of the storm, new impacts. Now, we did hear from the Northwest Arctic Bureau, who has been working to make sure that resources are available for Kotzebue and surrounding communities. Here's what some of their officials said earlier today.
It's a declaration that we foresee these impacts to health and safety throughout the region, and in particular these communities. All the communities have signed declarations in support of that, and we've already received a disaster declaration from one of the communities based on the current flooding, which is really just beginning.
And we take a really proactive approach.
Okay, so again, that was information from the Northwest Arctic Bureau that they already have emergency disaster declarations in place, and they are working with local communities. We know the State Emergency Operations Center is also working with these folks to make sure that they have the resources they need now during the storm, but again, a lot's going to come after the storm once we see what those impacts are. So this is a closer look at the storm surge that is expected as we head through tonight and tomorrow, looking at some of those local impacts, places like Kivalina at risk for flooding. Tank farms, the school, most roads, water pump station are expected to be underwater by the time that we see the highest water there. Kotzebue, again, we're already seeing that water pushing inland. Places like the post office, teacher housing, the North Tent City Fish Camp are all at high risk of seeing flooding. But again, we're even seeing that pushing on the backside. Now, it was just October of last year that Kotzebue endured an extreme flooding event where there was significant damage to people's homes and to businesses there right along the water. So this is the second year in a row. And of course, we had Mirbach just 3 years ago that did bring impacts to much of western Alaska. So Really important if you are in these highlighted green areas that you are preparing, that you are protecting any flood prone property, that you are prepared for potential power outages, that you are avoiding travel, and that's going to be put in place for you. Again, in Kotzebue, they're asking people to either go to the high school or to shelter in place. So again, traveling about is what they want you to avoid today. Also, just continue to pay attention to your local authorities for any additional closures and shelter information, but we do also have that available for you at alaskasnewssource.com. As communities are putting out new information, we will get that information to you right away. Hopping over on Facebook really quick here, where we are getting some comments coming in from viewers. I'm seeing that Walker is asking, what about Kenai and Soldotna? We are not seeing any significant impacts from this storm in South Central. It's a little breezy today. We are seeing some strong winds, so you may have noticed that. Again, looking at those peak wind gusts so far, up to 52 miles per hour in Anchorage out at Ted Stevens. So we are getting some wind from this, but again, not the extreme impacts like we're seeing along the western side of the state, just some breezy winds, and that'll be the case for the Kenai Peninsula, which is also seeing some of those high winds as well. So I shouldn't say no impacts, just not the really dangerous impacts like we're seeing there on the western side of the state. Now looking at those wind gusts, again, we've seen as high as 80 miles per hour for the west coast. I mentioned earlier, rain is no longer a concern. We are still seeing some showers down the west coast. Those will be in and out today, but we're done with the heavy rain. So no additional flooding from rain from this storm. So of course that is a good thing. And here's just a look at the timeline of this storm that we've been reporting on all week. Again, we expected those wind gusts yesterday to increase overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, which they have done. Those winds will start to taper off this afternoon. A lot of those high wind warnings are going to expire, but the flooding again is just beginning, and that is expected to continue. The highest water levels through Thursday afternoon, but some flooding impacts likely to continue all the way through Friday morning. So I can't stress that enough, that we are just at the front edge of what will likely be some significant flooding as we head through the night into tomorrow. And you don't want to get into a place where you are, again, overnight, it's dark, and you realize, oh gosh, this is no longer a safe place for me to be, and I do need to evacuate. So again, that is why it's so important right now to take the necessary precautions. If you do happen to live in an area that has gotten high water in these events before, you're no strangers to these storms in western Alaska. This is just one of the bigger ones. But again, take those necessary precautions now, so that you are safe and not finding yourself in an emergency situation overnight. The rain, again, is no longer a concern. So everyone highlighted there in red and purple, showing you where those strong wind gusts are continuing. That's through tonight, but you will get some relief from the wind as we head into late Thursday and Friday, and that's why we will also eventually get some relief from the flooding again. So thank you to everyone who has sent in pictures and video. Make sure you're staying safe. Don't ever put yourself in a dangerous situation to get video, but if you happen to be in a safe place and you see something that others should know about, you can share those with us on our website or through our weather app. You can also get the latest weather alerts and information there as well. And I do want to just bring up this video again so you can see what the conditions have been like there in Kotzebue today. We
foresee these impacts.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So here's a look again at that video from Kotzebue this morning, where high water is beginning to move in. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we always see a water in Kotzebue. The entire area is surrounded by water. That's nothing new. But the water again is creeping in because there's just not much room. There's not much place for the water to go when the wind pushes it inland. So that is the airstrip, and you can see there's just not much margin left. Again, the Northwest Arctic Bureau, that's who we just saw there. Again, telling us that they're working on emergency declarations. They're in contact with those local officials to bring in any necessary resources. They also told us today that they're working with Red Cross to bring in any additional resources that are needed, such as food or shelter. But again, in Kotzebue, the high school is open if you do need emergency shelter. We're going to continue to monitor this situation here through the day. You can see that water again pushing right up close to those residents. So thank you for joining me here this afternoon. We're going to continue to monitor this through the night. If anything new comes in, new closures, new evacuation orders, or new water reports, we will bring that information to you. Otherwise, hope you have a great afternoon and hope everyone is staying safe.